Breaking news, 3I/Atlas isn't acting like any comet we've seen. Its tail, carbon dioxide outbursts, and even nickel traces.
And that's the remarkable story of this newly discovered 3I Atlas, the third ever discovered interstellar comet that since its discovery surprised quite a lot of astronomers, mostly because of its unique characteristics.
In July 2025, among thousands of familiar signals recorded from the distant universe, an unusual bright red streak suddenly appeared on the data screen of the Atlas telescope in Chile. It did not resemble any comet scientists had ever known. No long shining tail, no obedient orbit, only a strange halo burning as if it contained within itself a gigantic secret that left those who witnessed it speechless. This object was quickly named 3I/Atlas, becoming the third interstellar visitor ever to pass through the solar system after the two shocking names Oumuamua and Borisov. But if the previous two discoveries could still be temporarily assigned to familiar explanations, then this time the appearance of 3I/Atlas sparked more doubts than ever before. Because its unusual characteristics not only challenge scientific understanding, but also evoke a frightening possibility. What will happen if this is not simply an ancient block of ice and rock, but something that was sent, with a purpose, with intent, and is silently observing humanity? That is the mystery and also what scientists fear when they discovered 3I/Atlas. When the data screen of the Atlas telescope in Chile lit up on July 1, 2025, the atmosphere in the control room suddenly froze. A strange object, gentle yet decisive, appeared like an uninvited guest among the forest of familiar cosmic signals and was immediately named 3I/Atlas, the third interstellar object ever discovered by humans after Oumuamua and Borisov. It came from nowhere, shot through space on a hyperbolic orbit, not captured by the sun's gravity, and simply continued its reverse journey, leaving behind countless unanswered questions. Right from the start, 3I/Atlas sparked fierce debates about its size. Some reports claim the object could be as large as Manhattan Island, up to several dozen kilometers. Meanwhile, other experts argued that in reality, the nucleus might be less than 2 kilometers in radius, or even under 1 kilometer, a discrepancy so vast it unsettled many. Because if it truly were Manhattan-sized, then this would no longer be just a normal comet, but a phenomenon standing outside all reasonable statistical expectations. Not stopping there, people recalled Oumuamua, the first interstellar object that shocked the world at the end of 2017 when Avi Loeb, a Harvard physicist, insisted it might not be a lifeless rock at all, but an alien probe. The reasoning that stunned observers: Oumuamua had no tail, yet it changed speed in an unusual way, something no natural object could explain. That event turned Loeb into the center of heated debate, even mockery, but also forced the world to reconsider the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence. And then, when 3I/Atlas suddenly appeared only a few years later, the skeptics had to start taking it seriously. Because this time, all the data went a step beyond Oumuamua, the size possibly too large, the hyperbolic orbit spectacular, the coma abnormal, making all statistical calculations no longer trustworthy. The most chilling part was the question no scientist dared to speak aloud. If 3I/Atlas was even stranger than Oumuamua, then were the very laws of physics being challenged this time? The seriousness grew even further when heavyweight telescopes like James Webb or SphereX began collecting data. JWST detected an extreme ratio of CO2 to water, a level rarely seen in ordinary comets. SphereX also found traces of water ice, carbon monoxide, even cyanide and nickel vapor, signals complex and not easy to explain. And even if one tried to dismiss it carelessly, there was still one undeniable truth. The mystery had never appeared this clearly. So is 3I/Atlas a special meteor, an ancient relic of the cosmos, or truly a sign of extraterrestrial intelligence, a hidden signal like what was once suggested when Oumuamua arrived? If it is natural, then this bizarre version forces us to rewrite the standards of observation. But if it is artificial, then this marks the turning point where humanity has truly touched the universe of others, those who came, looked, and quietly left. And that is why all the attention of the scientific community and the world is fixed on 3I/Atlas. Not only because it is the third interstellar visitor, but because it seems even more mysterious than anything we had ever imagined. During tense nights of observation, when the James Webb, SphereX, and Hubble telescopes tracked the journey of 3I/Atlas, scientists were stunned by a phenomenon that could not be called normal. The coma surrounding 3I/Atlas contained no water, no CO like other comets, but was instead flooded with carbon dioxide CO2, with a CO2 to water ratio of 8:1, one of the highest ratios ever recorded in the history of comet observation. SphereX went further in expanding that discovery. The CO2 coma extended across at least a distance of 348,000 kilometers, with no significant trace of water vapor or carbon monoxide detected. The sense of threat increased when NASA images showed a glowing red halo surrounding 3I/Atlas without a clear cometary tail, a scene that made many people think of lurking darkness and uncertainty. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb did not hesitate to raise a shocking question. Why would a natural comet create an effect that looks like controlled CO2 combustion, emitting a mysterious red aura as if it were trying to conceal something behind that outer shell? It was not only vague feelings, but concrete data that jolted the scientific community awake. SphereX measured the evaporation of CO2 at about 70 kilograms per second, while the maximum release of water was only 4.5 kilograms per second, a difference more than tenfold and completely out of phase with every unusual object ever recorded. JWST also confirmed that this CO2 rain was so intense that, statistically speaking, 3I/Atlas no longer fit within the geometry of natural phenomena. Indeed, while ordinary comets use water vapor as their main fuel for forming a coma, this case was the exact opposite, a CO2 comet. That ignited a troubling hypothesis. Is this really a natural celestial body, or is it a gigantic artificial object camouflaged with a CO2 shell to hide from outsiders? No one dares to affirm, but just that much data has already made many begin to doubt the true origin of 3I/Atlas. With these observations, the story of 3I/Atlas seems to grow denser with uncertainty and agitation. It is not just a strange visitor from the cosmos, but an unknown variable quietly challenging current scientific hypotheses. If it is natural, then it is such a rare variant that we must redraw the map of knowledge. But if it is artificial, then humanity is facing a warning, or an unprecedented signal from the outside. The movements of 3I/Atlas gradually revealed a chain of complex mysteries that made the scientific community hold its breath. This object was not only wrapped in a strange red halo, but also moved along a path that by every natural logic was almost impossible to explain, a retrograde hyperbolic orbit tilted only about 5 degrees compared to the ecliptic plane of the planets. A tilt just enough to create a strange feeling, just enough to raise profound suspicions about its origin. What shocked people even more was that the probability of a mysterious object from outside the solar system following such an orbit purely by chance was estimated at only about 0.2%, meaning it was almost impossible if based only on randomness. When those dry numbers were placed alongside the fact that 3I/Atlas passed close to planets like Mars, Jupiter, and Venus almost simultaneously, in a way that looked pre-programmed, one could not help but ask, is this coincidence merely random, or a hidden maneuver designed by some form of intelligence intended to approach the solar system with purpose? Even Avi Loeb, the Harvard astrophysicist famous for controversial speculations about Oumuamua, did not hesitate to point out this suspicion. He once emphasized that an interstellar object aligning almost perfectly with Earth's orbital plane, with a probability of only 0.2%, was a coincidence so rare that it is alarming. And if that were not enough, another calculation showed that the chance of 3I/Atlas accidentally passing by the major planets on such a rare orbit was only 0.0005%, making the whole situation resemble the plot of a science fiction film more than a standard astronomical description. So what does all this mean for Earth? First, it must be stated clearly, 3I/Atlas poses no threat to Earth. It will not come closer than 1.8 astronomical units, about 270 million kilometers, a distance far too great to cause any direct effect on us. But it is exactly this position of being far yet not too far that makes it such a rare opportunity, as if an invisible cosmic spectator were gliding through the solar system, leaving no trace, no collision, but only unanswered questions. If 3I/Atlas is a natural meteor, then it once again overturns every prediction in statistical models about the behavior of interstellar visitors, forcing astronomers to rewrite parts of our current map of cosmic understanding. But if, and only if, it is an artificial object, a machine with intent sent here, then our solar system is not just a meaningless stopover. It may have just been observed, even targeted, by another intelligence out there. In a sense, there is no invasion, but it is the most silent warning that we are not necessarily the center and that the mysteries of the universe may have already noticed our existence quietly and discreetly. In the end, the question is no longer whether 3I/Atlas will touch us or not, but rather, have humans come far enough to begin to realize that we may not be alone in a universe containing many more strange visitors than we ever imagined? The deeper we moved into the core of the exploration, the more the mystery of 3I/Atlas piled up, giving rise to hypotheses few dared to imagine. Among them, a proposal from Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb shook the entire scientific community. Could this not simply be a natural comet, but rather an alien probe disguised as an icy celestial body? He and a number of colleagues publicly presented this hypothesis, not as a confirmation, but as an open thought exercise, a way to force both himself and the public to ask questions about higher possibilities in the universe. Yet this idea triggered immediate opposition from many astronomers who argued that it was a distraction from serious scientific research. Loeb reasoned that if 3I/Atlas emitted its own light in a way unlike ordinary reflection from the sun, then the actual size of the object could be far smaller than previously calculated, perhaps only a few hundred meters, a size more fitting for an energy-emitting device than for a natural block of ice. Models describing the observed brightness could only be explained if the nucleus surface gave off intrinsic light rather than just reflecting, and this only added weight to the hypothesis that this was an artificial object. But the real drama came when Avi Loeb estimated that the power required to maintain the observed brightness reached as high as 10 gigawatts, a staggering number equivalent to the combined output of many large power plants. If true, then this was certainly not some random effect from a meteor, but evidence that a massive energy source was continuously active, something only a specially designed object could achieve. And if that artificial hypothesis were ever confirmed, then 3I/Atlas would no longer be merely an astronomical discovery, but the first extraterrestrial evidence in human history, a direct demonstration of the existence of another intelligence beyond Earth. Such a finding would transform our entire perspective, from humanity's place in the universe to the very foundations of scientific thought today. public curiosity about this hypothesis has been powerfully ignited. Some studies criticize that inserting extraterrestrial and probe into titles created noise and attracted attention more than it protected serious scientific research. However, Loeb has repeatedly explained that the focus was never to insist it was real, but to create a new perspective that challenges traditional assumptions. Although the majority of astronomical experts still maintain that 3I/Atlas is a natural comet with outgassing, dust, and a reasonable orbit, no one can deny one unsettling truth. If someone out there were designing quiet visits, without collisions, arriving and then silently leaving, then 3I/Atlas would be the perfect scenario for it. In an age when humanity is actively searching for signs of extraterrestrial life, this is without doubt a springboard to delve deeper into greater possibilities. Or at the very least, it forces the whole world to wake up to the question, unfolding before our very eyes, but is it really just the game of a natural universe? When light from distant planets pass through the lenses of the James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, SphereX, and even the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, what astronomers realized about 3I/Atlas was not simply just another strange comet, but a deeper, older mystery that left everyone astonished. NASA officially confirmed that on August 6th, JWST observed 3I/Atlas with its near-infrared spectrometer to analyze the spectral composition and discovered that the coma surrounding this object was dominated by CO2 while also containing water ice, CO, even the compound OCS and dust. Water was not the only substance producing this bizarre cometary atmosphere. Not stopping there, SphereX, which was originally designed to scan distant galaxies, shifted its focus onto 3I/Atlas between August 8th and 12th. The results showed a dense region of water ice located in the core nucleus, surrounded by a CO2 coma spreading across a radius of 3 arc-minutes, hundreds of thousands of kilometers, and the rate of CO2 outgassing reached up to 9.4 times 10 to the 26th molecules per second, while water and CO existed only at very low levels, nearly undetectable. Combined with data from Hubble and preliminary images from NASA, researchers became even more certain 3I/Atlas was unlike any comet in our solar system. It was an ancient block of ice containing pure water yet dominated by CO2 gas, a sign that its origin was not only distant but also from a special environment, possibly near the CO2 ice line, where extreme cold and unique conditions allowed carbon dioxide to freeze even before water. Most striking of all was the estimate of the object's age, based on orbital modeling and relative velocity in the galactic thick disk. According to the team led by Matthew Hopkins of Oxford University, with 68% confidence, 3I/Atlas could be between 7.6 and 14 billion years old, older than the solar system, 4.6 billion years, by nearly 2 to 3 times. An independent analysis from Astor Taylor and Daryl Seligman suggested an estimated age of 3 to 11 billion years, still consistent with the previous result. Just imagine, an object formed during the very dawn of the universe, before the Sun, Earth, or any planet in the solar system even existed. Wandering through the galaxy for billions of years undetected by humans or technology, now suddenly appearing like a fleeting visitor, leaving behind countless unanswered questions. And the great question arises, if 3I/Atlas existed before the Sun itself, could it be carrying some kind of message from the ancient universe, waiting to be understood? With this data, young audiences fascinated by mysteries cannot help but be captivated. Not only because the object is strange, but because it shakes the boundaries of time and space that humanity once thought were fixed. 3I/Atlas may not be an artificial device, but its immense age and long history have carried us from science fiction imagination into a silent warning. That the universe's past may still exist within fragments like this, and if read correctly, we may uncover something we never even dreamed of. One of the factors that made 3I/Atlas such a shocking subject right from its first appearance was the short and unfavorable observation window it gave scientists. According to precise predictions from NASA, this interstellar object will reach its perihelion, the closest point to the Sun, around the end of October 2025, at exactly the time when Earth will be positioned on the opposite side of the Sun. This means that from Earth, 3I/Atlas will be completely blocked by the Sun, nearly impossible to observe during the most crucial period for scientific discovery. The only chance to get close to 3I/Atlas will not come from Earth, but from Mars. On October 3, 2025, it is expected to fly past Mars at a distance of only about 0.19 astronomical units, roughly 28 million kilometers, close enough for telescopes aboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to capture images and collect spectral data. Meanwhile, Earth-based instruments will have to sit helpless as the Sun closes off the vital line of sight. That disappearing into the dark interval is not just a technical inconvenience, but turns 3I/Atlas into a fragile witness before the Sun. At that moment, the most important information about the object's origin and nature could be lost forever if this chance is missed. In fact, records show it can only be observed again from Earth when sunlight weakens and the Sun no longer obscures it. That will be in early December 2025. This gap between late October and early December is the deadly delay, where if not used properly, astronomers may forever lose the chance to capture the full picture of 3I/Atlas. Alarmingly, no probe from Earth could possibly be launched in time to reach an object moving at such enormous speed. Estimates show that even with the most powerful rockets, the required delta V would exceed our current technological capabilities. So this may be humanity's last lucky chance to record this mystery right before our eyes, instead of letting it slip into the darkness of space. Many astronomers have called this moment a true race against time, where everything, from light gathered by JWST, spectral data from Sphere-X, to potential images from the Mars orbiter, could vanish, simply because the powerful rays of the Sun stand between us and the main character of the story. If you think this is merely an observational challenge, try to imagine the scientists' feelings as they face an interstellar enigma, capable of revealing something never known before, but with only a fleeting window to glimpse it. And if that moment is missed, 3I/Atlas will pass like an immortal shadow, leaving humanity with nothing but unanswered questions. This is the moment when every minute, every second, every turn of a telescope toward the sky could be the last opportunity to capture the final traces of a strange visitor from the cosmos. And that is precisely why the world is watching 3I/Atlas with eyes more tense and hopeful than ever before. Looking back at the entire journey, 3I/Atlas has ignited within the scientific community and the public alike. It is clear that this is not merely a fleeting guest from a faraway universe. It may indeed be a natural comet, an ancient block of ice and rock drifting for billions of years through the galaxy, but what we have observed does not match what we once thought we knew. From the disputed size, the unusual composition with its massive CO2 coma, to the nearly impossible retrograde hyperbolic orbit, all have turned 3I/Atlas into the #1 candidate for hypotheses that break beyond conventional understanding, including the bold idea that it could be a cleverly disguised probe. Whether the final answer leans toward natural or artificial, 3I/Atlas leaves behind a message that cannot be denied. Our solar system is neither safe nor isolated. We are merely a very small part of the vast current of the universe, where at any moment unexpected visitors may appear, carrying questions that have never been answered. And when such a question stands before us, its silence becomes the loudest echo, forcing humanity to wonder where exactly we stand in this infinite canvas. So what do you think? Is 3I/Atlas just an ancient block of ice slowly dissolving, or is it truly an alien probe quietly observing us? Leave a comment, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to join MindGap as we continue to follow this mystery as it reveals more surprising chapters.